Nioh series has put out some of the best Soulslikes outside of the FromSoft catalog. After Nioh 2's Complete Edition, Team Ninja took a short break from the series with Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise, Wo Long, and Rise of the Ronin. These are all solid games, but none of them quite matched up to Nioh 2, which is on the short list of best non-FromSoft Soulslikes ever made, alongside stuff like Remnant 2 and Lies of P. On the most recent State of Play, Nioh 3 was officially announced along with a demo and a 2026 release date. So let's take a quick look at what's new in Nioh 3. Right away, the game features two massive changes compared to Nioh 2, first being the ability to swap between Samurai and Ninja stance, and second being the addition of larger open world style levels instead of the smaller levels of Nioh and Nioh 2. The latter especially is a welcome addition if it's executed well, given the level design was one of the more unremarkable things about the series. Early impressions on the open world are tough to really get a handle on. There's definitely a hook here given how brutally difficult the game is even compared to most Soulslikes. Having limited healing adds a layer of tension to the decision on whether or not to tackle a massive enemy you know is guarding something good. You start with a blank map, and as you complete activities in a zone, it will fill out with collectible and activity locations. It's not like Assassin's Creed style icon spam, but it's not as hands-off as Elden Ring. This is fine by me. It prioritizes functionality over immersion a bit, which isn't always a great idea, but works for a series like Nioh, which is most focused on its combat. You also have access to a jump now, which expands the options for exploration. Something that does come up with the bigger open spaces is that enemy AI needs some work. They can't seem to decide whether to chase or just go about their business if you hit them with a ranged attack. The game also thankfully does have more structured levels in the form of crucibles, which are your more linear sections with shortcuts and checkpoints similar to past entries. The systems outside of combat are mostly unchanged. If you were hoping the series might ditch its patented way too much loot system, you'll be disappointed. It's back and the modifiers are as pointless as ever, although if it's like previous titles, that will change once you hit the postgame. The biggest changes, however, come in the mechanical tweaks and additions to the core gameplay. You have access to two combat styles, Samurai and Ninja, with the ability to swap between them mid-battle and even mid-combo. Samurai plays like past Nioh titles, slower combat focused on stamina management and restoration through ki pulses. Each weapon also has low, medium, and high stances for different combos and special moves, although there are only 3 Samurai weapons available in the demo. The new mechanic for this style comes in the form of the Art's Proficiency Gauge, basically a small meter that charges when attacking that you can use for a supercharged heavy. It does solid damage, but it is somewhat slow and unwieldy. It's a nice addition, but not a major change. The new stance though, the Ninja style, plays completely different to anything Nioh has done before. First of all, you don't have access to the ki pulse, meaning you can't purify stamina draining yokai realms. While Samurai stance seems to be about staying in the battle with those pulses and blocks, Ninja style is about hit and run. Your stance change button has been replaced by an alternate dodge that can only be used after an attack but doesn't cost stamina. You can output massive amounts of damage and dart away, and the lack of a core mechanic like the ki pulse means you have to constantly relocate and retreat to dodge yokai realms. You also deal considerably more damage with back attacks, so you can stay on the offensive and use the dodge to reposition behind an enemy. It's wild and initially pretty difficult to control. Swapping to it from Samurai style is going to take some getting used to because of how differently they play. You're definitely encouraged to switch between styles, considering the burst counter, a way to parry the enemy's strongest attacks, is now linked to that style switch. This means your best bet for blasting damage right after hitting the parry is to wail on them with whatever style you just switched to. This shouldn't be a surprise to Nioh fans. Switching between stuff mid-combo has always been a key part of the series. That's why it's had such a high skill ceiling, and that's only gone up now that you can swap not only stances mid-combo but styles as well. The controls here are awkward to get used to and unfortunately lacking in options to rebind buttons. The dodge and sprint buttons have changed, which is made even more awkward by the Ninja style having a totally separate dodge button. I'm sure it's something I'll get used to, but options would be nice. The last thing I want to talk about is the Crucible zones and a mechanic exclusive to them, that being max health reduction. When getting hit in these zones, your max health will decrease. This decrease can be recovered by attacking or killing enemies. This is fine most of the time, but the issue I have is that this also applies to bosses. Nioh is a series where you're often only able to take a maximum of 2 or 3 hits, so even a small amount of max health reduction can lead to you getting insta-killed by one combo or grab attack. As if that wasn't enough, the stamina-draining Dark Realms from Nioh 2 have also returned in these boss fights, and listen, I like hard games. I've done no death runs in a few FromSoft titles just as an excuse to play them more. Still, at some point, it gets kind of excessive. I have some amount of worry that they might be sacrificing gameplay balance in order to find a way to make the series harder and harder. There's a good chance when I get a better handle on the mechanics it won't be as big of a deal, but it's still a worry in the back of my mind. Overall though, the demo is encouraging. While Nioh 2 was basically just Nioh 1 but better, Nioh 3 feels like a vastly different experience to its predecessors. The new mechanics push the skill ceiling even higher, and the open world seems like it could fix one of Nioh 2's weaker elements. It'll take some time and a lot of deaths to get used to, but I'm looking forward to Nioh 3 even more after getting a chance to try it. Nioh 3 is slated for release sometime in 2026, and the limited time demo is available until June 19th. Thanks for watching, please remember to subscribe and stay tuned to Noisy Pixel for more news and reviews.
Voice Pixel.